Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Film Talk. My name is Anton Isyukov and next to me, Eric Stolberg. Hi Eric.
Hello.
Here, as you know, we are not gonna talk about the latest films and latest premieres, but instead of that focus on the real gems. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, it's important for us, and maybe to put some comment and share with someone who loves the movies as much as we do. And in the end of the last episode, we mentioned that today we are gonna talk about the film from 1961. Eric, what's gonna be the film?
It's going to be a famously enigmatic film. Last year at Marienbad. It's a French film from a very special kind of group called Rive Gauche. Made some films during that time. And this is maybe the most famous of them.
Very influential, very avant-garde, very psychological. And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name in French, but we even have this Blu-ray disc. And so, yeah, there is a lot to discuss. There are it's a house of 1,000 meaning, literally. But so let's start with the narrative. Well, I don't want to say that it's not so important, but it won't take so much time. Here's what we have. The film opens inside of an isolated, gorgeous hotel, as we understand, maybe. And I think at least first 5 minutes, we only enjoy the interior because the camera is flowing in the rooms. We see gorgeous ceilings, beautiful corridors, like Baroque style, and statues, and it's kind of repeating, and for some time we don't even see people. But we hear someone. There is a narrator who is telling something and also repeating his monologue, and then at some point we see people and they're watching something, and then we realize that it's a theater. They are there on the play, and this play is just about to be over, and people are just hanging out after that. They are talking, they are gossiping, and that's not main characters for us. It's just an extras, and we hear them talking about something. Sometimes we hear them talking about something, but it's actually not them, people that we see, or we see people talking, but we don't hear them. And I think already at this time you can realize something is gonna be confusing here in this room.
Journée que nous vivons ici côte à côte, marchant le long de ces couloirs à pas compter, à portée de main, mais sans jamais nous rapprocher d'un pouce.
Maybe I tried at the beginning to understand what are they talking about? What if it's important for our story? But I guess not. Until the moment when we see a man and a woman. They don't have their names, but we will use the screenplay that we also have here with us, where the name of the characters are just briefly referred to. X, it's a man, and A as a woman that are talking with each other. And this man seems to be knowing this lady and convincing her that they already met before.
Pourquoi me regardez-vous ainsi?
Mais semblez guère vous souvenir de moi.
It seems that the woman has no idea what who is this man, what happened between them. She says that she saw him for the first time just right now, but he says that they met previous year at the place called Marienbad. Even though it doesn't seem so convincing, because when she says that she has no idea, she hasn't been there, he says, well, maybe somewhere else. It's a very weird conversation, because he insists that they not only met a year ago, but there was something between them. And he says that she promised to him that she will leave this place or someone with him, which for her it sounds to be completely a nonsense. After a while we realize that it's not direct narrative. It seems that the past, present, and even imagined events just emerge. We start losing the track of what's going on. it might be something that happened last year. Do we see what's happening right now? Or is it just someone's dreams? We as an audience, we are completely confused. The same way as this lady, A. During the film, we are changing the locations. We are in one room, then in another. Then it's like endless corridors. Then all of a sudden we are outside in the beautiful park. Then we are again in the room. And then, so it's always changing. And what's important to know that there is another man in a screenplay, M, who is probably her husband, but it might be another, like someone else, a controlling figure. And he happened to be next to her. We see them in one room, which, as we realize, can not necessarily mean something, but he's often there. He's talking to her, that we understand that he knows her well, even though we never hear much about their relationship. But so it makes it like this triangle, we can say it, a love triangle, maybe. And this man is often playing the mathematical game with the matches, always wins.
Non, c'est impossible.
So there is not a direct confrontation, but there is some tension between all of them. And this goes on until the moment when we see a woman in her room where X appears at some point, and we don't completely understand what's happened there. And we will discuss more what was that. But the final sequence, something shifts, and A appears to agreeing with X version partially, and she agrees to leave this place. And it's important to say that this is not Marienbad, because the film called last year at Marienbad, but we don't know. We don't know where we are, where is this hotel, where are all those people, and were they there last year or not. It's just one place as mentioned, and there are not many names or places named throughout the whole film. But at the end, A and X are living together, and M is just there watching them living. Even though the film ends at this moment, questions, millions of questions still remain. What happened? Did she agree? Did she remember? Did she escape? Did she play kind of like and left? And what was going on? Before start with the interpretations, I think it's very important to know the context this film was made in. And as we remember, it's 1961 and it's a French film. So there's a lot to talk about the time when it was made. And Eric, help us to dive into the history to start understanding this film more.
Yeah, actually, I think we need to go back even further to understand the circumstances under which it was made. So if we go to France during this time, there was an explosion of new ideas within cinema, but those didn't come out of nowhere. So if we go back even further to the 1920s or 30s, when the cinematic culture started in France, it started with the realization that films were deteriorating and they were being destroyed by time, and there was a need to restore them and to keep them, and there was also this understanding and this thought about film being a part of a vital part of the culturally in heritage. So it was a will to keep it, and this led to also to several cinema clubs throughout France where films were shown. And in 1936, it was officially established, this Cinémathèque Française by Henri Langlois and other persons. But he was very important because he introduced the idea that the filmmaker had a freedom to make the films he wanted and to show his ideas, and also to show film as much as possible for as many as possible, and to analyze it and discuss those films. This led to many young film lovers watching a film in the 1930s in these film clubs and in the 40s. But in the 50s, they had grown up and developed their own thoughts and had analyzed films over the years. And through this movement, a new film culture growed that became the French New Wave in the 1950s, in the mid-50s. But the cinematic movement also led to other thoughts, and the cinephile climate, if you will, led to an explosion of new ideas and different movements or groups. And one of these was the Rive Gauche, which this film is made by. And it's not like the New Wave films. The New Wave directors were more of a tried to revolutionize against the old way of doing films, especially against French tradition de qualité, which made very literary films with heavy dialogue and heavy sets and costumes and very slow-paced films. And the New Wave directors, they thought that this is not a way to use the film as a medium. This is just film theater, and there is no such thing as fine art and low art, and that the film should be used in its unique way and for its unique qualities. But the Rive Gauche movement didn't come directly from this, but in order to understand this, we have to move into the domains of philosophy.
I think here we have to mention those directors who were like first watching films and were young cinephiles in Cinémathèque, and people like Jean-Luc Godard and François Truffaut, and they were the faces of New Wave, these revolutionaries who wanted it to make it completely different. And also important, I think, to say that technologies also helped them to with their visions, because technologies were more available and more flexible to use. They could use the cameras on the streets. They could use it with no like tripods or all these mechanisms, and to make it more dynamic, more looking like life and looking more young, because the films before, they thought that it was not only too predictable but very polished, very classy, and so this is what they wanted to. And there was a lot of focusing on this prestige, which is also interesting. And then we will also now discuss Rive Gauche, because it might be confusing at the beginning, and it was confusing for me, because here we talk about this new wave, which is like rough, like bold, wild, and like cheaper in a way. But at the same time, we watched last year at Marienbad, where like all these classy people, golden interiors, all these dresses and stuff, which kind of doesn't connect at the beginning. So in this case, it's important to understand a little, not a little, but quite a big difference between New Wave and the Rive Gauche direction.
Well, there are huge differences between Rive Gauche and the New Wave, and because the Rive Gauche, it wasn't just filmmakers, it was poets, writers, painters that were from they were very intellectual.
They were also older, I think, people.
Yes, they were older.
And they all was connected. A film with literature and art and philosophy. That's a big difference already.
And they all, the name come from Rive Gauche, the left bank of Paris. They had no direct association with the new wave, but they were more into philosophy and this different parts of arts. And to understand more which ideas went into Marienbad and the making of that, we have to move into that domain. And during the 20th century, there was this, within philosophy, there was this conflict, if you will, between the existentialists and the structuralists, where the existentialists meant that every person defines himself or herself by his or her actions, and that is what describes a person. Where the structuralists meant that there is no such freedom, or it's very limited, and we're all bound by the structures, more or less. And that's those are more important for what a person can accomplish and how we act in our lives. So they all meant that to think that a person is free to write his own destiny, so to speak, is naive. So they were against this idea. And the height of this movement or these thoughts were in the mid-50s. So this film was made directly when this reached its zenith. More or less, and also it's a film in the high modernism spirit. So the modernism was during the whole 20th century, but by the end of it, after the Second World War, it turned more or less into high modernism, which is a radical version of the modernism. And in literature, it basically meant that you removed character development.
And completely breaking traditional storytelling.
Yes.
Changing the form, like experiments, that's the thing. And, which we see exactly in this case last year at Marienbad is a good example.
Yes.
Because all that was like a trademark for Rive Gauche and high modernism. It's this changing the narrative, direction of the narrative, that it's like time is non-linear, and repeating some stories or events, and the narrative does not need to be clear, or it can be fragmented, it can be unclear, it can be cut.
Yes.
And
But even more radical than that could be that sometimes the narrative or the story is not the point.
Absolutely.
So the point is to show a structure or a form, and that's all there is, to show the structure of that you are presenting. And René said when he directed the Marienbad that he thought of it as writing a piece of music. Because when we listen to music, we don't necessarily analyze it and try to make sense of it. We just listen to it, and that's all there is to it. So he thought the same way when he directed Marienbad. But it's for a normal reader of a book or watcher of a film, it's feels very strange to not have any character development, to not have a story. Really, and Rob Grier, who wrote the storyboard for last year at Marienbad, he was extreme at this. So he was a radical part of this, and he wrote his books within the so-called nouveau roman, which was this new type of book where you didn't have stories or characters had no backgrounds. They didn't strive for something. They didn't develop. So this made it a very hard read for most people. But
it was quite easy maybe to imagine, because the focus of the new novel is often on the objects, on some details. It's very meticulously written and explained, the space. But then, we don't know the names of the main characters. Are they main characters? But instead, we get a lot of immersive effect. We kind of feel that we are part of this gathering in a way, which is kind of I believe, the essence also of new novel, also Rive Gauche, because of these details, a strong detailization of the film.
This nouveau roman, it seems like an experimental form of literature, not meant for to reach a lot of readers, not more like showing an idea than to provide entertainment or anything like that. But it was during this time that it could be published anyway, despite having practically no audience. And that was thanks to an editor whose name was Jérôme Lindon, who was the head of Édition de Minuit at this time, and he had so his personal agenda to promote this nouveau roman. So he published it regardless, and that made this writers like Robbe-Grillet reach an audience, despite his very odd style of writing.
Shout out to this man who risked it.
He was lucky to have to be able to publish his stories at this time, and Robbe-Grillet actually became quite a star within this movement at this time. So his name was quite big within intellectual circles in France at this time.
Well, the name of Alain Ressnais was also big, and if this book wouldn't be published, probably we wouldn't get this film. And this duo that was very, matched my heaven. It's interesting to talk how these two people met and how they worked together on the film.
Yeah, Ressnais had made one feature film before, and that was Hiroshima Mon Amour. Based on a novel by Marguerite Duras, who also was one of the Rive Gauche group. So this film was a success, both critical and actually with the audience too, which is kind of unexpected for this type of film. But the producers of Hiroshima Mon Amour, they thought it would be a good idea to match Alain Ressnais with Alain Robbe-Grillet, since Robbe-Grillet was a major star within this nouveau roman and the intellectual of France at that time. So a meeting was arranged between these two, and it went very well. So both felt that this could work. And Ressnais asked Robbe-Grillet to come up with 4 different ideas for a film, and he would pick one of these. So he presented 4 ideas, and one of them was Marienbad, which he chose. And the reason for choosing Marienbad was probably that it was kind of like what he had done before. It was two people mostly having this dialogue, or actually more of a monologue, where one talks and the other one listens, which was very similar to what he had just done in Hiroshima. There's an uncertainty about what is real, what is not real, and the time and place. Everything is kind of floating, and it's also like the title suggests, it's a story about memory. And that is also something that fascinated Ressnais a great deal. He was very inspired by. He was very much into theater of that time, and well acquainted with plays, and one of his favorites was Chekhov, Anton Chekhov, who worked a lot with memories and the uncertainty of memory and such themes. So there were several things he liked about Marienbad that made him choose that one. And as another fact, one of the other stories, 4 stories, was the Immortal, L'Immortel, which Rob Grier would make himself just a couple of years later.
The theme of the memory is central for Ressnais's films, but it seems that they had like different approaches to making the films, because Rob Grier was more interested, or like insisting that it's more objectively happening, and in a screenplay it is like that, even though they found some fine line between that, right? Because what I know that Rob Grier has never been on set. He provided his script to Ressnais, and and then just saw the final cut.
Yeah, that's right. Rob Grier wrote the script and handed it over to Ressnais, and it's not just a screenplay. It's much more detailed. It details every scene, how it's going to be shot, and all the important stuff about the scene. Because he wanted to limit more or less the director's opportunities to make the film his own. So he wanted his ideas to be visible in the final product, and that's why he defines in detail how each scene would be shot. And after he had written the script, he and Ressnais went through it for maybe a week or something, where they talked through the whole script, and after that Rob Grier was done. He was not present on the set, or he was not consulted or anything more than that. After that, it was
That's a trust. He felt that he found the right person. It's funny because when I was doing some research for this podcast, I found the information that, when the film was done, and they both seemed to be happy with what they got, and Rob Grier was saying that it's an amazing work, and he felt exactly that it was in his head and on paper, that Ressnais did a great job. At the same time, I read it in some statements by both of them, like decades after the release of the film. It was kind of like they were saying that it was a different vision. And according to Ressnais, Rob Grier used to insist that it was he who wrote Marienbad without question, and that Ressnais's filming of it was a betrayal. But that, since he found it very beautiful, he did not blame Ressnais for that. So, well, probably with the time, the vision can change, or opinions can change. So the script is ready and the filming of Marienbad is starting. How did he work with the material he got?
's of all, he of course needed actors and also locations for the film. So that was up to Ressnais to decide on those. As I said earlier, he was well acquainted with the European theater scene. So he knew of this Italian actor, Giorgio Albertazzi, who was virtually unknown in France, but who had worked previously with Luchino Visconti in Italy on the theater stage. So René knew of him and thought that he would be good in the role of X. And also he has this Italian accent, so this, I think René thought it would be a very good addition because he seems to come from the outside. He's not. He's an outsider in this palace, and that goes into many of the interpretation that this is an outsider who doesn't exactly belong with the rest of the people. So for the role of A, he knew of Delphine Seyrig, which he also had seen on the theater in New York just a year earlier or something like that. And he decided there and then that she would be perfect in this role. And finally, for the role of M, Sacha Pioteff was well known in French theater also. So that gave him all the three leading characters of the film. And for the locations, he went and looked at many different palaces, and what is seen in the film is a combination of several of those palaces, mostly.
None of them in Marienbad, though.
No, I don't think there is.
Marienbad got famous without being there even for a second. I think it is known that the reaction in the film was quite polar. Also, not every critics liked it, and the audience was also not always so happy, even though now we know that it's acknowledged gem and a classic of cinematography. I have to say that at the beginning I was, of course, confused. I was a bit annoyed because I was like, I'm trying to understand what's going on. What are you doing with me? And but then I left out all my rational part and just got hypnotized by the film and not trying to investigate this, and this really helped me to fall in love with that and enjoy it. And if you see that it's somewhere like in the cinemas, just go and watch it for sure, because it's like this experience is one of a kind. But what I thought about, after all, in this way, the film professionals, famous critics, and just an audience were kind of like equal, because they were confused the same way. Because no matter how much you know about the context, new wave, and all the history of cinematography, it won't help you to reach the actual point of the film, or like to crack this code, which for me is fascinating. It's like we are really equal in that.
Well, I felt the same way as I think most people do. I didn't understand it when I started watching it. I just waited for it, and I thought maybe it will start sometimes and I will understand. But then maybe 20 minutes into the film, I had to rethink this, and I slowly began to understand that I will not understand it. And I think that's the way for most viewers, especially the first time when you don't expect the film to be the way it is. And in this way, it's a very esoteric film. It shuts viewers out, I think, because you expect it to hold some narrative that will be possible to follow. But the film refuses to meet you halfway or invite you to understand. It doesn't want to please you this way or reward you by explaining or letting you understand while the film goes. So it's in this way, it's not meant to be understood, and this way it shuts people out also. And with these thoughts from Nouveau Roman on structuralism and high modernism, it sort of shuts most of the viewers out from understanding what it's all about. And that could be very frustrating, and I can see that a lot of people just give up on it.
Je vous ai moi-même attendu longtemps.
Dans vos rêves?
Et vous essayez à nouveau de vous échapper.
Mais de quoi parlez-vous? Je ne comprends rien à ce que vous dites.
Si c'était des rêves, pourquoi auriez-vous peur?
I talked with some of them who never finished this film, and of course the stories from the premieres back in the days, people were leaving the cinema because it was like they were angry at this film because they felt that he's just fooling them and making fun of the audience in a way. Someone tried to understand the story somehow, and I think Rob Grier also said that there can be a perspective when you really try to see it as a linear story. Well, good luck with that. Yeah,
there are so many different ways to read this film and to understand it, but nevertheless, I think it's helpful to go back to the ideas of the Nouveau Roman, that because it's close to Rob Grier and the way he writes. So taking it from that end could be helpful. And the way we have to understand it then is that the form is the content of the film, and the structures that are presented in the film. So then it's easy to see it as a system, and that is a common way to interpret it. And this is rather a radical way at the same time, because it basically means that A, X, and M are not people. They are functions within this system, and that also is very close to just calling them A, X, and M. That seems to be some mathematical functions within a system.
And here a mathematical aspect is actually quite important in the film, connected with the game that M is playing. What does it mean? Why is it important for this film?
Well, let's look at A, X, and M as three functions. Then we could define X function as presenting versions of a story to A. That is what he does. He does this all over and over during the whole film. He presents versions of a story. This happened. Last year you were here. And then he gets a response from A. And her function is to deny or accept A.
Mostly listening.
Yes, mostly listening. But after she is listening, she comes with a short verdict. And often she says that she doesn't accept the story as it is presented by X. And M's function is then to stabilize the situation around what is the current state. And that is that he is closely connected to A. And X is a function who wants to break that. And he could be seen as someone coming from outside the system, or also could be inside the system. If we look at him like from inside of the system, he presents new versions, but A doesn't dismiss these versions altogether. She says, no, I don't remember that. No, that seems to be not. But she's not really saying.
Yeah, she's not rejecting him, because I was like, man, please, can you stop? It's
exactly.
Total bullshit.
Yeah, that's true. And that somehow shows that the system is not stable, because M is also kind of weak. He's stabilizing, but he never goes and intervenes really between A and X. He never puts his foot down and says, well, get out of here. You have
That's
nothing
my
to do.
woman.
No, he doesn't do that. So he's kind of weak in that sense. And A's resistance is also kind of weak. She doesn't say, leave me. Yes, actually, she says, leave me alone, but she doesn't really mean it.
Yeah. She wants to hear more.
Yeah, she's
kind of like playing the game with him, following.
So if we look at them as just function within a system, we see that the system is not stable. It diverges. And A is more and more drawn into X versions, while M is unable to stop this. And the versions become more extreme. In some versions, M does intervene. He actually shoots A in one version. But nevertheless, other versions continue until the point where A and X leave together. So this is one way of looking. It's a very cold way of looking. Those are not real people. Those are merely function represented by people. But it goes very well into the Nouveau Roman. And if we see other works by Rob Grillet, this is the way they work. They are very cold. But René's film is not quite that cold as Rob Grillet's writings are. So this would be one way of looking at it. And within this version, M is a stabilizer, and this is symbolized by the Nim game, which they play, and he wins all the time. And Nim game is kind of unique in its way because it's almost impossible to find winning strategies while you play it. But if you know the basic principles, which are easy to learn if you read them, you have to keep the Nim sum, which is easily defined. If you keep that to 0 each time before you make your move, then you will win. And M, of course, knows this, so he is also always in command, and it's impossible for X to figure out a way to beat the system at this time. And this is why this is the symbolism of M. He shows X over and over again that you cannot beat the system, but in fact he can.
Eh bien, j'ai perdu.
When we talk about the Nim game, I also could mention that there is a group called Oulipo, Ouvroir de littérature potentielle, which also was within the modernist world of literature during this time. They were founded, I think, in 1960 after Marienbad, but they were very interested in rules and restrictions and creating literature according to this. So it just shows that that the form is more important than the content in sometimes, and also that creativity could be accomplished by limitations, which is kind of a strange thought. But for example, there is the most famous piece of work from this movement is probably La Disparition, which is a book written completely without the letter E. Which is the most common letter used in France. So it's, but keeping to this rule and still creating a classic within French literature is quite an achievement. And there's also another novel by Georges Perec, La Vie Mode d'Emploi, basically a guide to life. Is set up based on 42 different rules. It takes place within apartments in a house with 10 stories and 10 apartments on each floor. So each apartment is one chapter in the book, and it's also only you can only move between apartments by using the knight's move in chess. So it's a really complicated system of rules that he has set up for himself and follows this in compliance with other works of this movement. The form is the content again, more than an actual stories, and it's kind of no character development and so forth. But it just shows that these games and rules are important within this movement, and that's why including something like a NIM game, which is a very deterministic kind of game where the one who knows the rules will win always. And it's also I see a parallel with something like Ingmar Bergman's The Seventh Seal, where where a knight has to play chess against death himself, and of course he will lose, but the game must be played anyway. And it's sort of a parallel here where we know that M is going to win because he knows the system, he represents the system. X is destined to always lose.
Well, he loses in the game, but he is able to escape, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. It somehow shows that M's knowledge of the game and the structure there has no bearing in the real world, so to speak. He cannot stabilize the real world. X will ultimately be stronger than him there, and that, as we said earlier, he is kind of a weak stabilizer. He lets X go on and have his stories and continue to tell these to A and persuade her to go away with him.
There are many different interpretations. It's at some point I've read some mentioning that this whole hotel, it's not the actual hotel, it's like hell, and people are stuck there. That it's all the dream. It's, I think, kind of like one of the most popular. Whose dream, I don't know exactly. Or there are interpretations that A is dead in this story, and or that almost all that X is talking about, he's talking with his psychotherapist. This is also a version of how people see it. And do you have some more to add?
Yeah, I think you're mentioning some interesting ways of looking at it here, because the acting, we have to say some words about the acting in the film, because it's really almost like anti-acting.
Yeah, it's very distant. In a way, it's quite cold.
It's often like they're reciting texts more than actually acting. And while X is reciting these texts, A is often looking off screen. So she's looking at a completely other direction. And she's often almost like a statue. So this also gives a feeling that, is she really present there, or is she very distant, or her thoughts somewhere else? Or
But him too, in a way, it feels that this conversation, that they kind of almost don't hear each other, because that it's too separate. Like sometimes, I don't say that it's always, because sometimes A asks him something, but instead of that, he's just continuing saying something, and I'm always you think like, can you have like more direct answer? Because she needs to understand more. But it's, because it really feels there is like some theatrical monologues sometimes that has nothing to do with reality.
And with this heavy organ music that is throughout the film, it feels almost like a funeral.
Absolutely.
So it's a very heavy feeling, and it doesn't feel real at all.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought that this is that they're all dead or something, that's very close to the feeling you get. And also much of the dialogue, if you listen to other guests at this place, they talk about graves and death and so on, and also time seems to be strangely discussed, like hours and minutes and days doesn't matter, and years.
All these guests, sometimes I had the feeling that it's ghosts, because they are because they travel in space, almost like in time, and like all the time in different places, and like there is something terrifying in them, especially when these moments when you see them moving and then all of a sudden they freeze. It's actually quite anxious moments, which also, and it's also interesting with the music, what you said, because this music, we used to see it in the films for some kind of like crescendos, when it's like a very strong moment, funeral scenes, or like someone is dying, but you hear this music almost whole film, which is sometimes it's even like it also makes you feel sick, but also this feeling of unstoppable anxiety and something very dark and terrifying happening doesn't leave you. Yeah.
No, I agree. And one of the scenes in particular is when you see a string orchestra playing, and while we see them playing, we hear the heavy organ music, and it just feels like, why are we hearing this music when we see strings playing? And the answer is probably that seeing the orchestra is like seeing all these like ceremonies that they go through in this film, almost in limbo. And to mark that, the organ music is used throughout the film to show those events. So on that level they match, actually. But it gives a very weird feeling.
And also this hotel, it's seems like a labyrinth, like it feels so, because like of this long shots when it feels endless, the corridors, lots of doors. Also, I think it's very important, there are a lot of mirrors, when sometimes you don't see the characters, but just their reflections, and which also, I think, give you some feeling of not having a reality. Something is wrong.
Yeah, something is wrong. And one of the interpretations that I think is very interesting is that everyone here at this place, which is like a closed world almost, like a sealed off universe, everyone here is in limbo, and just sleepwalking through empty ceremonies. And into this world comes this character X, and he's sort of on a mission to wake up A from this limbo. And he at the beginning of the film, and she's very much distant, and just refuses his stories. But then he's very persistent, and the more the film continues, the more he gets into her skin and sort of gets her to wake up and get real reactions from her, to a point where she wakes up from limbo and accepts to follow him out of there. That's one interpretation, at least. But at the same time, no one, neither X or A, seems to be happy by the end. It just seems that they're walking out, but they're hardly saying a word. They're not happy, but she follows him anyway. But if that's good or bad, well, that's hard to tell. That they don't seem happy. That's for sure.
And also, in this way, very confusing is the scene in her room where X enters and something is happening there, which feels very like wrong, because we kind of, I don't know, maybe my perspective, that you kind of feel that, well, in a way that you want to believe to X, and that he really wants her to get out from the system with him, but at the same time this scene brings more anxiety because it looks like a rape.
Well, yeah, that theme is also very real. If we look at another interpretation where X is actually trying to convince A, not that something happened last year, but to join him in this make-believe that they have, that it has happened. So by being very persistent, he tries to get her attention and get her interested in joining this along with him, and go along with this story that they have met, and giving them a made-up past together. Not really gaslighting her, but trying to convince her that we could have it better together. And the more persistent he is, the more she is drawn into his version. And when this happened, they sort of see together, she begins to see where this is leading. And it's not leading to any light places. It's leading to at this point she becomes afraid, because she sees what could happen. And we see one version where M goes to the shooting gallery and comes back and shoots her, kills A. And this is in some way this is a message that they have to tread very carefully, because this is a possibility that could happen if they are not careful. So that will affect how they proceed. And after that, they also see that she is afraid, and why? Because this is one way, but another possibility would be that X would use force and rape A. This is not shown in the film, but it's there in the script. And with it also, everything leading up to it is logical, because she seems to be very afraid. And the more he draws her into his story, the more afraid she becomes. And
it's kind of like a classic way of showing it, because we see him entering the room, we see her scared, and then it's kind of like we go further from this room, we don't see, and the doors are kind of like closing. So usually this is what we think, okay, this is what happened. And but you said that in a screenplay it is a clear raping.
The story by Rob Grier follows up this, so it leads up to the rape, and the rape takes place. So this is what it's said in the screenplay. X appears in the foreground, seen from behind. Rather swift and brutal rape scene. A is tipped back. X is holding her wrists in one hand, below her waist and a little to one side. Her upper body thus not lying flat. A struggles, but in vain. She opens her mouth as though to scream, but X, leaning over her, immediately gags her with a piece of fine lingerie he was holding in his other hand. X's gestures are precise and rather slow. A's chaotic. She turns her head once or twice to the right and left, then stares again, her eyes wide, at X, who is leaning a little farther over her. The victim's hair is loose, and her costume in disorder.
Well, this is pretty clear, and it seems that it's a big change in the film.
Yeah, this is the biggest change that Ressnais made, because he didn't want to include this brutal rape scene, very short but brutal. But he included everything that led up to the rape scene. So everything leading up to it makes the rape scene logical, but he doesn't include that. Instead, he cuts into A's bedroom, where she seems to welcome X with open arms. So that's a huge difference that he made.
She seems even too excited. It's also for me, quite a scary moment, because it's like repeatedly.
Very strange scene, I think, and a bit scary, I agree. But the also strange is that Ressnais chose to continue the script according to what Rob Grier had written. So after that, X says, no, I didn't use force, which makes no real sense, because no force has been shown in the film. In the script, yes, it makes full sense, because there has just been a rape scene. But in the film as is, this is kind of puzzling. It's very difficult sometimes to understand whose vision are we looking at, and it could vary a great deal. But at this point, it seems to be a common vision, like they're seeing the same thing. Both see what happens, but somehow we have to interpret it like she's afraid that he will use force, and he says no, and this is kind of a turning point, because he's been the one telling the story all throughout the film, but now he has to reject the story. So it's kind of a strange event that he has to refuse the story that they have been envisioning, and that the same goes when she's shot. X says something like, no, I need you alive. So that's like saying, no, we have to avoid this version because it's no good. We have to be much more careful. So seeing that version, he understands that he cannot push too hard. He has to be more careful.
Well, and then we have many times where we realize that it's kind of like, how is it called, unreliable narrator, that we don't know where, and we won't know where is the true, where is not, but somehow becomes more or less convinced after that.
Yes, she seems to go along with his idea, but she has not entirely made her mind up yet, because she sort of cries for help in a scene where she's in her bedroom. Her bedroom, she seems always to be, that's her private space where she's at much the most vulnerable. That's where the shot takes place. That's where the rape should have taken place. And it's very big tensions. Every time we see her bedroom, it's attached to a big tension in the film. M at one point is in her bedroom and she asks, please help me, please don't let me go. And to me, this seems to be like a cry for help and please stop me from leaving with X. But I think M's reaction is kind of strange because he says something like, no, you have already left. And he doesn't intervene in any way.
He's not trying to stop her.
He's not trying at all. And this would make sense if you see them like just function within a system where he has no power. And if you interpret it this way, also he's not a person. He's not a function. So he doesn't have a personal interest in the outcome. So he just accepts that, okay, in this version you will leave with X.
This sounds like a sci-fi.
Yeah, but otherwise it is a bit hard to understand why he doesn't intervene more. If she's his wife, he would do something, but he seems to always just observe them quietly. He asks, "Will you join me for the concert?" And she says, "I will join you for dinner," and goes to the concert with X. All this seems to be a bit odd. So at this point, when she says, "Please hold me, please," he just, "No, you have already left." So seems to be it's a relationship. Seems to be very cold.
Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds weird. X is trying to remind A what happened last year, and then she has no idea what happened, and this like total amnesia. And I know that this pattern was quite popular in film history in so many films. I know that David Lynch was inspired also by this film, and there are lots of other directors. But how this aspect works with her memory.
On the surface, it seems extremely odd that someone would not remember if they had met just last year and spent a lot of time together. So why is it presented in this way? Why is this? Could this be a question even? So the answer to this would probably lie in the nature of the nouveau roman again, because the film is not trying to represent reality in any way. We have to understand that, and the form of a memory is that it's unreliable, that it's ever changing. And that it can be manipulated. Those are that is the form of the memory that the film tries to represent, and it goes very well into what Rob Grillet would try to present in his nouveau roman context, and also René is within this. Field could use it as more of a concept and a form, like than a representation of reality in any way. So I think that's why it could even be a question. So it's about the representation of memory as unreliable and unstable.
Well, I think it's actually the most famous image from this film that we have on the cover on the book, and this disc is this scene in the park, which is, I think, is also how memory can be manipulated, because everyone discussed it, I guess, because we see figures moving. At some point they stop, and it's also what we mentioned, that inside of the hotel they also from time to time like just freeze and stop talking. And here the same, they freeze for some time, and we see their shadows, but at the same time the trees that are here. There are no shadows, and I mean there was like some. I know that some technical reason, because they filmed it in a cloudy day, so there was no sun. So these shadows were added in editing process, but also in it also says something that it's not. Something is wrong there. It's not you. Maybe you shouldn't believe to all you see. And yeah, here in the book as well, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, it's not a representation of reality. That's for sure. So it's like the characters may be real in some point, but the surroundings are in a different level.
Is there something else that we have in a screenplay that maybe helps to explain something more, or otherwise there are no big differences?
Well, I think there is one thing I want to mention, and that is that in one scene, A cries in the film. We can see tears running down her cheek.
Vous voyez bien, il vaut mieux nous séparer pour toujours. L'année dernière, non, c'est impossible.
And that is a bit contradictory to the nouveau roman and the view that these are only functions within a system, and this is something that Ressnais added on his own. Maybe Rob Grier felt that this was sort of a betrayal, adding this
such a small detail, but
yes, a small but important detail. So this is one way that he adds psychology to the story, which doesn't have much psychology to begin with. In the beginning of the movie, maybe 10 minutes in, there is a cutout of Alfred Hitchcock shown. Blink and you may miss it. It's hard to spot, but it's there. It's just like a sort of a homage to the great director.
Definitely missed it.
Yes, it's very easy to miss unless you know that it's there. When we see this film, there is a theater going on inside in the film, and it's also when we there is a door with a sign that says Rosmer, and this is a reference to the theater where one of the characters is named Rosmer, and the play is Rosmersholm. It's one of Henrik Ibsen's plays that also takes place in kind of a sealed-off universe that is the Rosmers estate. So it's a parallel to this film.
We can say that this film should not be interpreted, but experienced.
Yeah, that's right. And that's something that both Ressnais and Rob Grier supported, this thought that you shouldn't put a lot of effort into trying to interpret it in any ways. It should be enjoyed like a piece of music, as Ressnais also thought when he directed it, in terms of just letting it grow into you and just experience it and not try to understand what happened last year. And Rob Grier said something like, well, let's get one thing straight. It doesn't matter what happened last year. And
it might not even happen.
For people who have watched movies, like most people have, they will be stuck because this is not. You cannot watch it like you used to. There, and if you try to do so, you will just fail. And for a person who has never seen a film before will have a much easier time watching it because he hasn't the references which will be in his way of just enjoying it. But if you have never seen a film, you just go along and enjoy the ride, and let it sweep you along like a good piece of music. But trying to understand it and interpret it in different ways will just be in the way.
In this case, I don't know if our conversation helped to the audience who never seen the film to to have their own experience or not. But you can put it in the comment section. What did you think about the film if you have seen it, or watch it and then tell us.
A few years after last year at Marienbad, Rob Grier directed The Immortal. And this time he both wrote the storyboard and directed it himself. So he had no one to manipulate, change, or interfere with his vision. And the result is a film that is even more difficult to understand or follow than Marienbad, because characters seem to be just moving along in Istanbul. It was financed by Turkey a lot, who wanted to produce this work, and there's no character development. They have no past, they have no future, there is no story that takes us anywhere. So we're just watching kind of a dead system where the characters don't have the characteristics of real people. So it's a real odd experience. And there's no... René makes it much easier by introducing those lavish costumes and this baroque, beautiful hotel, and adding psychology and glances and feelings, and Rob Grier he removes this, which makes it for a very puzzling film indeed, and you just wonder what's in this really. But of course it's based on the principles of structuralism and high modernism and nouveau roman, without any counterweight from René. So he's just his own vision 100%, and that becomes a really cold and kind of a puzzling experience indeed.
So it's like if you passed Marienbad, you can go to the next level and then, to watch that. And maybe this is the film we can discuss in later, right? Will you announce something for the next episode? Do you have any idea of the next episode?
Yes, for the next episode we will move to the year 1971.
This is a time machine in a film talk. That's the plan for the next episode. And thank you, Eric, and thanks to everyone who was watching another episode of Film Talk. Subscribe, and see you again in our film critic room.